think I'm also someone who's very logical and analytical, and I always feel like someone is the way he or she is because of some past or some deep down damage or trauma, like how Veronica was. But in Ali's case, it's very different. Like Luv Ranjan, the way he writes, firstly, when he narrated me the film, I was like, I instantly loved it. You know, the way the scenes were written, the way the characters were. Nobody was black or white. There were grays of different shades of grays in every character. And I love that they all kind of were right in their own ways, but kind of made the situation really complicated. That's what
Yeah,
humans do. I feel even when you see Cocktail One, I feel like it was so ahead of its time
yeah,
in terms of the characters and how the characters spoke and lived and breathed. I feel even Cocktail 2, it had to kind of, the world has changed, people have changed. It had to go to the next level and to the confusion and the chaos of today's generation when it comes to friendship and love, to what is cheating and what is not, and why are people confused and scared to commit, and, what happens when there's excitement versus, stability. Like a lot of questions that I think the youth kind of asks today, the film also questions and the film also kind of deals with.
And Kriti, honestly, as you mentioned, firstly, a huge congratulations on the incredible response to Cocktail 2. I mean, the trailer has been resonated globally, and Mashuka has become a major talking point as well across the music platforms. So big congratulations, firstly, on that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Kriti, what fascinates me the most about Cocktail Universe is beyond the romance and entertainment. It's always been reflective of the lives of young Indians abroad, navigating freedom, cultural expectations, and identity. Now, obviously, since the first one released in 2012, the world has changed dramatically,
Yeah.
especially with social media shaping how we present ourselves and our relationships as well. But I think through Cocktail too, what observations have you made about where we are today compared to back then?
I think this generation, if I may say so, is probably a little more scared to fall in love. There's a little more of, I don't want to get hurt or commitment issues, and there's a lot more to explore. People move on really quickly. There are so many terms that I can't even, kind of understand all of them. There's situationship, benching, ghosting, too many things happening. There's left swipe, right swipe happening constantly. So I think um, while I feel like the generation is probably more scared to commit and to get hurt, and they're always kind of shielding and protecting themselves with these terms, inside, deep down, I feel like they still crave for that eternal love, the love that kind of, sweeps them off their feet, that, kind of gives them the butterflies, that stays forever. So I believe that. But
Mm,
like you said, I think people don't want to do it anymore for what the society feels or what the society, wants us to believe, that this is correct and this is incorrect. I think that is kind of blurring a bit because now people are like, no, I want to do what I want to do,
mm,
which is a good thing. I think that is a good thing. I think we're not kind of getting in and out of relationships for people. It's more for us, you know? So,
exactly.
yeah.
And true. And your character Ali, seems to embody a
All
certain
of
free-spirited energy. Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
honestly, do you know what? Like I've often said, especially with the first cocktail, it's really personal to me because I feel like Veronica is me. And I feel like I deeply relate. I call her my spiritual sister, man, because honestly, it's so relatable. And I kind of get that vibe from what I've seen in the trailer. I mean, obviously, these are different characters completely. I'm not comparing, but Ali seems to be very free-spirited. And there's something really about her that I feel like I might be able to relate with a lot. And, I feel like some of the most memorable characters in this cocktail universe are often carrying that emotional complexities beneath that surface. And I think throughout your career, what I've loved the most, and what I've mentioned, I think, to you before as well, is that you've played characters who seem to be vibrant, independent, but are ultimately, sort of confronted with responsibility, vulnerability, and difficult choices as well. Did that understanding of human nature help you to connect with Ali? And what was it about her emotional journey that really spoke with you?
So I'll tell you something. I'm also someone who's very logical and analytical, and I always feel like someone is the way he or she is because of some past or some deep down damage or trauma, like how Veronica was. But in Ali's case, it's very different. She is the way she is because that's how she is. She's in fact a much lighter person because she doesn't carry any sort of baggage or any sort of, damage with her. And that's what makes her even more free spirited than, the characters that you've seen before. I feel she's someone who just doesn't want to have regrets in life. She is completely opposite to me, where I'm an overthinker, and she's someone who lives in the moment, in today, not in tomorrow, not in the past, in today. And she kind of gives it her all, like she will give all her love to everyone that she meets in that very moment. Um, but she doesn't want to be bound by anything, any relationship, anything at all, any place, nothing. She's someone who moves from one place to the other. She's a traveler. She just doesn't want to get tied down by, oh, this is how the society functions and these are norms and our relationship is forever. No. She is that jo jab tak hai, wo tab tak hai, you know?
Huh.
And everyone's there in your life for a few chapters, and that's okay. And you move on. That's not the complete story. And that's what I love about her, that it's not coming from, oh, I've been hurt and damaged, and that's why I am the way I am. No, she wants to live her life, and that's her funda, and that's what she lives by. Having said that, she is vulnerable in a lot of moments. People change, their thinkings change, and so does her at some point about a few things of life. So I think that was what was interesting about me, where I felt like she was really transparent and she had the guts to do what she wanted to do in her life without caring about morally right, wrong, what people would think, all of that. She feels like it's one life. I want to do everything that I want to do. And as long as I'm not like intentionally hurting someone, I just want to live my life and I don't want to have any regrets ever. And that's very liberating about her.
So beautiful. And I've got to really talk about the collaborative sort of effort that's here on the creative front from the writing and the direction. I mean, Luv Ranjan's writing has often, it often has a very youthful energy. But
Yeah.
in films like, that he's done before, I feel like there's also an exploration of responsibility and emotional consequences of our choices as well. And that's what I'm really liking that he's exploring a lot more nowadays. Now, fuse that with Homi Adajania's wit, the visual vibrancy and understanding of human relationships, that I think that creates a really fascinating combination. So I guess what impact did that creative partnership have on you as an artist whilst actually shaping up Ali's character and her journey?
I think it was great because, like you said, Luv Ranjan, the way he writes, firstly, when he narrated me the film, I was like, I instantly loved it. The way the scenes were written, the way the characters were, nobody was black or white. There were grays of different shades of grays in every character. And I love that they all kind of were right in their own ways, but kind of made the situation really complicated. That's what
Yeah,
humans do. Uh, and I feel the same scenes when I heard from Homi, how he felt like the tonality changed of the same scenes. The dialogues were same, the characters were same, that tonality and the way they said what they did changed, the way they moved changed, the way he captured the scene was very different from what I heard. And that's what I think is the real cocktail in this film,
yeah,
the two of them coming together. Um, and I love how Homi really protects all his characters. It's like, they say that any character that you play, you can't be judging the character. So whatever the character is doing, even if you as a person feel that it's not right, from their point of view, from their lens, they're coming from somewhere. So I think he's very protective about every character. So even though the characters are beautifully chaotic and messy and not completely right, you feel for all of them. And I think that is what Homi has brought to the table.
And I just love also, I really want to say that I love Maddock's vision as well in terms of really capturing the Indian sentiment, I think, in all their films, but also serving films which really take us by surprise. You can all, it's always expect the unexpected with Maddock, and I absolutely love that as well about them. And I really wanted to just point that out as well because it's amazing how Dinesh Vijan has really evolved so beautifully as well as a storyteller, and I'm so
Absolutely.
happy.
I feel even when you see Cocktail One, I feel like it was so ahead of its time
Yeah.
in terms of the characters and how the characters spoke and lived and breathed. I feel even Cocktail 2, it had to kind of, the world has changed, people have changed. It had to go to the next level and to the confusion and the chaos of today's generation when it comes to friendship and love, to what is cheating and what is not, and why are people confused and scared to commit, and, what happens when there's excitement versus stability. Like a lot of questions that I think the youth kind of asks today, the film also questions, and the film also kind of deals with, friendship and relationships, but in a very different way, in today's lens. So I think that's what's amazing about even Maddock. I feel like, they're changing and evolving with the changing world, and that's
Mm,
important, to kind of tap into the energy of what people are like today, and then kind of use that in their films.
mm. Absolutely. And we got to talk about camaraderie here because the heart of Cocktail has always been about friendship. And
Yeah.
what fascinates me is that friendships today can feel more connected than ever and more emotionally complicated as well because of social media. The world is closer, but yet there's also a sense of weird distance. I can't quite explain the juxtaposition, but there is this weird sort of environment that we're in, I think,
Yeah.
socially nowadays. But look, working alongside Shahid, I mean, I loved you both in Teri Baaton Mein, as you know already. I really loved you both in that. And it was so great to see Rashmika as well join the cast. And I loved, when I first heard the announcement, I was thrilled because I think you all are so brilliant and love all three of you. So I was really happy. But did the film kind of, whilst working with them both, did the film kind of make you reflect on how modern friendships are evolving and how people navigate loyalty, misunderstandings, and emotional honesty in today's day and age as well, because of the characters and, whatever the story, takes place on screen.
I think we kind of felt connected to the script, the moment we heard it, because I felt like the script is so relevant in what it says, in how each character deals with every situation so differently. And like I said, they all are not right, they all are not wrong, they are just relatable, And I think, like you said, Cocktail has been a lot about friendship. Um, and it was really important for the three of us to just, get along and like like a house of fire and be like, really, like there has to be organic chemistry. It's something that you can't really fake. And I think we kind of had that even on set. We just had a lot of fun. We could joke around with each other. We could laugh on things. Sometimes Homie had to come and stop us and be like, okay, now you have to shoot, let's shoot. So it was that, and how much ever they felt like, oh, two girls in a film and they might not get along. Me and Rashmika were like, clinging to each other all the time, and we were like chatting. And I think girls kind of connect at a certain level. And I think she's a beautiful person. So for me, I was really glad that I was doing Cocktail 2 with these two, because I think the three of us, the energy that we had was so right for the characters in the film.
It's amazing. And the songs as well, honestly. Like, I can't believe what it's like literally almost everywhere. It's charting everywhere. It's like on Spotify, it's number 72 in daily top 200 songs, number 43 in Apple Music India charts. And I think it's beautiful. When I heard Jab Talak, and I think I mentioned this to you also, that line, "Main acha aaj shukr mana ke," it was. It was so I can't explain. Like it felt so rooted, like how we heard in the first cocktail that had rooted elements, but yeah, it felt so contemporary in its
Yeah.
feel as well.
I think that is Pritam Da, to be honest. He's worked so hard on this film, along with Dinu, of course, who also loves music. And considering Cocktail One had great music, and if you see, it had music that is also still fresh today. So, it needs to be kind of ahead of its time. And I love that they kind of went with creating new songs mostly, and creating a new vibe and a new energy for this particular film and this cocktail. Songs that kind of go with this film. So when you see Mashuka, we're in Sicily, we're in Italy, and it kind of makes you feel like you're there with us. Um, Jab Talak is a party anthem, and it has to have its own identity. And these three characters, when they're sort of together and the energy that's there in the song, the bit that you're talking about, that bit I feel like is Ali's spirit, you
Yeah,
know.
that's
Yes.
exactly
Yeah.
yes.
Matlab, she doesn't care about anybody else, and it doesn't matter to her what the world thinks, and she's just there to just have fun with all her heart. I think that's her.
That's amazing. And you know what I love, Kriti, is that I remember in the last interview that we did, you did say that, you kind of want to explore that gray arena now. And you've done that as well beautifully last year with Tere Ishq Mein, and you're doing that, continuing to do that as well. So is gray the way forward, do you think, for you now as
Well,
an actor?
if you ask me what a role that I would want to do, I would really want to do something that's even more grayer than what I've played, because I feel like these are people. See, we all are gray. There is gray in everyone. There are times when we do things, we make mistakes, we do stuff that we might feel is right, but is not
Yeah.
according to someone else. So I think all human beings are gray. Nobody is black and white. But I'd like to explore more shades of gray, probably.
All right. But look, on that very colorful note, though, for Cocktail 2, thank you
Yeah, where
so
do you
much.
put the film right now?
Yeah, thank you so much though for joining me, Kriti. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you, and a big congratulations to Cocktail 2. I think this one feels really, really sentimental and poignant to a lot of us. So I'm really excited to see it on the big screen.
I
And
would love to know what you feel about the film. So
yes,
do tell me, and thank you so much for always supporting and always like cheering for me. I've seen that. I noticed that. Really, really nice. Lovely that we could do this.
no, I said back in 2014 that you are gonna become a massive sensation, and look exactly what's happened. I've even predicted that you're gonna go Hollywood soon as well. So
Ooh, let's
fingers
manage.
crossed. All right, Kriti, well take care. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank